So in last session, we have seen like how we can get the products from the API and that we have successfully displayed into the cards. So let me just show you the code also. So we had created a service. Sorry, in the core. So we have created a service which was written, which was actually making the API call. And this API call we have consumed in our component over here. So interface we have created for API response and the particular product also. And whatever the data we got from the API that we have stored into this variable, and this variable we have used over here. So the project with the Angular 17. So rather than using the ng for, we have used the new thing that is the for loop, what we can do in normally HTML. And the new thing what we have did is like injection. So with previous version, we used to create the service object in the constructor by using dependency injection. But now from Angular 16, we have got the injection. So we can inject the whatever the service we want to inject in component or in a service also. So this in service, we have used the normal way. This was the old way, but now we can make use of the inject also. Correct? Now, so on the page, or let's say on the home page, we are showing all the product. Okay. But somewhere like we need in e-commerce application also, we get the sorting, searching, filter, everything is there. But we won't be doing everything. But at least we can show the categories over here. And based on the category, we can just filter out the product. So if we go to the Swagger, so this is one API that is get all category. So this API will return all the categories. So API is like that. So if the parent category ID is 0, means this is the parent category. Okay. So where parent category ID is something else. Okay. So that is just the child category of any parent category. So first I will make this API call. We will get the category and we will display the parent category over here on the button or somewhere. And on click of that, we will try to filter the products. Again, that thing also with the API. So this is the first API we have to call. So again, to make the API call, we have to create the, we have to write the API call function. So it's a small application. So either you can create one specific service for the category service, but we are going to have at least 7 to 8 API calls. So all the service call, we can put it in a single service also. So API call function name will be get all category. Now from this function, again, the same thing, get API call we are going to do. So return this dot HTTP dot get from bracket. Now we have stored the API endpoint, the common API over here in this variable. So that we can use it over here. So this dot API URL, after that our method name, that is get all category. Okay, so here you can see up to slash we have seen. This is just a it will just concatenate this string and this string. So our URL will be formed. Again, this function is going to, we are returning a data of observable because get function return the data type of observable. So we can just specify the data type. So now all APIs just specific to my API. So all all API which I have developed return the object, and in that object I have message, result, data, right? So these functions are just purely responsible to send the data whatever we get from the API. So for all the function, this is going to be common. So this model we have already created. Whatever the fields you see over here, this we have created and stored into the interface. So that is over here. See, okay, this only return type we are specifying. This only also we need to copy paste over here. So this should be your API call. Okay. So in service, we have created API call function, which will be responsible to make this API call. Now coming back to component. Now on the page load, we need to do two things. First, we need to get all the products also, and we need to get the categories also. So let's create one more function. So let's rename load category. Now from this function, we are going to call our service function. So this dot category product service dot get all category function. This function doesn't have any parameter and we can subscribe to that. Again, the data type, the data which this function is returning is of type API response model. So same, we have to add it over here also. Those who don't know like interface and class, you can simply go with any also. If you don't know and you just want to integrate it, you can, instead of creating interface and class, you can directly write any also. But just to make everything strongly type, we create class or interface. Okay. Now, this function also we need to call on the page load. So in ng on init, we will call this. Okay. Now, whatever the response we get from this, we need to store it somewhere. Now, if you see, for the product list, we have created the normal variable we have created, and whatever the data we get from all the product that we have stored it over here. But here, let's, instead of doing this, creating a variable and store inside that, we will create an observable, and in HTML we will use async pipe. So you will get a practical scenario like how and where we have to use the async pipe. So I will just create an observable now. Let's say category list. Now, when we create an observable, so in industry or any proper project, we follow guideline. Whenever we create a variable in which where we are going to store the observable type of data, so we add dollar symbol to that. Okay, then colon observable will come from RxJS. So see, once I select that, observable got import got added. Then what type of data I'm going to hold? So now one thing like this API is going to return the data. Again, we need to use the map operator. Okay, let's do that first. So this category list, right? So first I need to create the interface of these properties. So let me just copy. Let's go to again model. Let's copy paste. This will be category model. And the field will be category ID, category name, and parent category ID. This will be category ID will have a data type number, category name will have data type string, and parent category ID again number. Right? So we have created interface. So this interface, we will use it over here like this. We need to add the import. Now this is an observable. So again, like whatever the normal variable we create, and if we don't initialize that, it will give us this error, right? So we can handle this if we add an undefined over here. So it suggests like that. Okay. Now, what we need to do, we are trying to use the async API. Normal way is we can create a variable, we will store the data into that variable, and then with that variable, we will use it into the HTML. But when you are appearing for the interview, no one wants to see that. They wants to say like, are you able to use the async pipe or not? Do you know the observable? What is observable? What various scenarios you are going to use? So make sure if you know, try to use the observable and use the async pipe so that it will display your coding skill. Okay. Now, over here, either we can, now we might not need this function. So this dot category list observable is equal to, we will simply store this dot product service dot get all category. That's it. Okay. But if you see now we are getting error. So error you will see this function is returning a data of type API response model. And the data type we have given to this observable is of category means you are getting one data and you are trying to store into another model. We cannot do that. So let's go to service, and here we can add a map pipe. Sorry, first we have to use. Now while returning the data from the service, we will actually return the data. Okay, so in the previous API call you have seen, here we have written that result.data because in the data we were getting the actual array. Okay, but now we are assigning this thing over here. Okay, or one more thing is like, if you don't want to do that, here you can provide this data type. Okay, let's just do this, then I will explain the other way. So whatever the API call from, whatever the response we get from this API call, we are directly storing into this. Okay, let me just complete, then I will explain. Now this variable, let's use it. Now before this, again, I will create a row. Call, let's say just call. And inside this call, I will create a button. So whatever the categories I have, that much buttons will be created. I just want to show the categories on the button. Okay. Let's just add a class btn primary. Okay. Now here I will use, here we have seen at the rate for loop. Here I will use the normal for loop. Okay. ng for. Now in Angular 17, all the components are by default standalone. We don't have app module or something. Now just see, like if we have to use ng for, we have to use common module. Let me just first write it. So now you can see here we are getting the error like it doesn't recognize what is ng4. So to use ng4, we have to add common module in our component import section. So here you need to add common module. So if you import the common module, then only you will be able to use ng4, ngip, ngstyle, and ngclass directive. Otherwise, you cannot use it. Okay. Then here we have to use our observable name, that is category list dollar, but with an async pipe because this is observable. So obviously we need to use async pipe. But this observable is going to have a data of object. See, this is the object. Okay, but we need to pass an array, correct? So another way is like we can create an ng container over here. So again, like if you are a really fresher, so this whatever I'm going to tell you is will be a new to you, but just try to understand. Okay, container, and here we will try to store the data. How do we do that? Star ng if let I also forget how do we actually we store the this thing into a variable, then we use it. Let me just try that first as data. Yeah, and inside this I will use now here data dot data, or let's say API response instead of data, API response. If my APIs were straightforward now, we were getting the array, then it would have been a very easy way. But since my API is returning a date object, then we need to use the map to filter it out. But before that, I'm just explaining the normal way. Now let's try if it works. Okay, and button name also, category name, we have to print it over here. So item dot category name, I will print it on the button, and yeah, that's it. So we don't need to make this a function call now. Let's save. Now on the page load, we should be able to see pipe. Now again, one more thing that is new. See, if we have to use the any pipe. So previously in the previous version, there was no like you can directly use the pipe. But if you have to use the pipe now, so let's try async is there. We have to import that also. Async pipe. Okay. Now you will see we didn't get the compilation error, but on the browser we got it. Let's say, okay. Still some error is there, I think. Page not loaded. So let's check. No, we got the page. Extension. Let's reload. Something is not correct because we didn't get the button. Let's check. Only one API call is there. Other API call is not there. Let's check. Why is it? Why it is saying PIEP? Where do we write this? PIEP, where do we write this? PIEP. Okay, product service. We started writing and we stop. Yeah. Now we should see two API call. First for the get all service. Yeah. Now you can see we have got the whatever the category where whatever the response we get from this category API, all those we are able to see. This is with the async pipe. Once we get the data in the HTML only, we are trying to subscribe it and showing the data. Okay. But now, so if you see my API response, we are able to get all the categories, including subcategories and everything. But here we just want to display the parent categories. Okay. But I'm not sure like API is returning with parent category or child category. Let me just check my database, like what I am storing, parent category or child category. Just give me a minute. Ecom product. category ID only I'm storing 55. This is coming from category table only. Okay, so let's try first. So what I need to do now, I don't have any API which returns the parent category, means the parent category. Okay, currently one API is only there which is returning parent category also and the child category also. But here I don't want to show all the categories, just the parent category I want to show, means the categories which has parent category as 0. Let me just show you in the table. See, these are the all categories, but what I need to check the parent categories only. So parent category ID is equal to 0. Okay, so let's filter it out. So these are the only my parent categories. Remaining were the child categories. So these only categories I need to show. Okay, so to do this, we need to filter the data, right? So filtering part, I at least either we can write ng over here, because in date in API response data we are going to get the, what do we say, all the categories, right? So here also we can write that code. So again, we will need one container if we have to write the ng container. This is not an ideal way, but just to keep the code very simple, I'm just doing this. One again ng container I'm adding star ng if. So this for loop will be on the container, and this button I will put it inside this container, and here I will use the ng star ng if. Now the code I will be writing is item dot category ID. I just want to create the buttons whose parent category ID is 0. Okay. So let's parent category ID equal to 0. Again, I'm repeating, this is not the right to code. We should have filtered the data over here and then send it back by using map operator. Okay. But just to make it very simple, I'm just trying this approach. Okay. Let's just save. Now button should be, means category should be visible whose parent category ID is 0. So let's save and check. So now you can see only some categories we have got. Let's add some spacing. So margin left 2. Bootstrap 5 MX will work. Let's try. Okay. Okay. So now first thing is done, like we have on the page load, we have done the API call to get all the categories. We have shown, we have used the async pipe also. Whatever the API response we have got, that we have stored into the observable, and this observable we have directly used on the HTML by using async pipe. Okay. Now on the button click, I mean, so on the particular category click, we need to filter the products. For that also we have the API. Now on particular category click, we need to call the another API. So let me just show you that API. So at the top, we have one more API, that is get all product by category ID. Okay. So this is the API. To this API, we need to send the category ID. Then it will return the product of that particular category only. Okay. So let me just get this URL. Again, we need to create one more service function, right? So this will be, but now this function will be with the parameter, because from component, we are going to pass the category ID. Data type, number. Now again, same thing will be there. So I'm just copy pasting the basic code. Colon. Now URL will be this, but see, the API is having one parameter. The parameter name is ID. So we need to send the parameter also. So question mark ID, and then again we have to pass the ID. So whatever the ID you get, you can pass it over here. Okay, question mark ID equal to is missing. So our function is ready. Now this function we have to call on the button click. So let's create a function over here on the button. So click, let's say get product by category. So try to be, whenever you create a variable or a function name, make it descriptive, right? This is the first thing we should be aware, like whenever we create an API, any function or a variable, that should, the name of the function or the variable name should be descriptive. Means if you're writing the code and if anyone is seeing that code, by checking the name of the variable or the function, he should aware like what is the purpose of that, right? This function is not needed. So let's remove this. So now here this, okay. While calling this function, we need to send the category ID also. So item dot category ID we will send. Let me just get the name from over here. We have created the model also now. So category ID will be, we will send it as a parameter. Okay. Now this function will have a parameter. So category ID, again data type. You can, there is no necessity that you can pass the data type over here. In TS config, you can disable this also. Okay. So you can just disable like mandatory some properties there, which you can disable. Then there is no need to pass the parameter. So this dot product service, the function which we have to call is get all product by category ID. Now this function needs a parameter. So this is nothing but the parameter we have to pass, whatever you get from the front end. Subscribe, result, API response model, right? Now, whatever the data we get, that we will store into this variable. Okay. So this is the only variable which we are using to show the product. So this only variable we have to assign the data. So this dot product list is equal to res dot data. Okay. So let's just check now. What is wrong over here? Click equal to, everything is correct only now. Click. Get product by category. Round bracket. Item dot category ID. Yeah, I don't know what was the wrong before. Let's save. So let me just open the network tab. So we will be able to see like what API call and what parameter we are sending. So now if I click on the beverages, let me just remove debugger. So now if I click on bakery, so we have got the API call, response also we have got, but data is not getting filtered. Why is it? Let's try snacks. Okay, it is filtering, but these APIs are free, so anyone might have in any category, someone might have added something product. Okay, let's click on fruits and vegetable. So in fruits and vegetable, what number of records we have got? So many records are there. Let's clear it. So fruits and vegetable ID is going as 55. Let's click on food grains. So in food grain, we just have two products. See, from API call, we are just getting the two products. Okay. The data is not proper. That's why it is filtering, but data is not proper. Let's click on snacks. Okay. So in snacks, only one property is there. Soft drink. Okay. So two soft drinks are there. BBQ. Okay. So what we initially discussed, like filtering the product. So in e-commerce application also same kind of thing will be there, but it won't be only one parameter. It will have like price range, reviews, right? Famous product, popular product, whatever. So many filters criteria there. So there, instead of the get API, it will be post API, where you need to send min to max range, price range, famous or not. Then again, like if we are filtering computer or laptop, there will be RAM and everything. According to the product you want to filter, and another certain attributes you will be able to filter it out. Okay. So this is how what we have done the filtering part. So after filtering the product, next thing like on click of this add to cart sign, we have to call our add to cart API. Okay. So let me show you that API. Okay, so sorry. So before that, we need to complete the login and the sign up also. Without that, we cannot do that. So login and sign up is also there. So I will just try to wrap that quickly. So for login and the sign up, we will be using model pop-up, and in the model pop-up, we will be doing that. So register customer is one API, which this API we will use it to register for this e-commerce application, means nothing but a sign up. And after that, login API is there, which we will use to log in the customer. Okay. So let's go to Bootstrap sign. Let's quickly get the Bootstrap model code. Model. Let's copy. So now if you see the this navbar, I have put it into the app component. So obviously I will put the model also in the app component only. So let's go to app component, and here at the end we will put our now model pop-up. Okay. So first model pop-up we'll be using for registration. So let's make it as a sign up. And here we will create a normal form. So let me just quickly create that. Call for, we will have a label, name, and we will need a text box. How many things are there? So we will need name, mobile number, and password. Only three things will be there. In actual application, there will be so many fields, but as we are just trying to make a sample or do the all the flow, so basic things are needed: name, mobile number, and password. Okay. So after form, in the footer, we will have a register button also, or sign up button. On click of this, we will actually make our API call. So click function on register. Let's create this function in .ts. Now we are going to make this API call, right? So obviously we have to create this object. So for now, just to save the time, I'm skipping that class and interface. I'm directly creating variable over here. So let's say user register :any. Don't do this if you have time. Try to create the interface, or in case of now we are going to bind this object to a form. So rather than interface, you have to create the class. Okay, so that will be more beneficial, as in the last session I have already explained like why and when we have to create the class and interface. Now this I have to bind to my form also using ng model directive. Now again Angular 17, right? It's a standalone application, so we cannot use ng model. So to use ng model in your import section, you need to add forms module, as we don't have what do we say, app module. Okay, now you can use it. So user register dot name, then we have mobile number. Let me just copy and password. Customer ID is the primary key, so we don't bother to send it. Okay. Now on register. So let's create the service also. I'm just going to copy paste the basic thing on register. Now we are going to get the object. So let's make it obj, and data type will be any. Now the API method name is going to be register customer. So this will go over here. We don't need anything. Okay. Now this is going to be a post API call. So instead of get, now it will be post. And post API call will require two parameter, URL and the object. So first parameter is the URL, then comma, then the second parameter, that is nothing but object, whatever we get from here. Okay. So this is our API call. Now this we have to call in our app component. So again, I'm using the constructor the old way. So private product service Okay, so here this dot product service dot on register, the function we have to call, and we need to pass the object. So this dot user register object we are sending, we need to subscribe. Now this is the post API call. Okay, so again I told you like all my APIs will return the data type of this model. So result is the property which you need to check. If you get the result as true, means API call is success. If you get the result property as false, then in message field you will get the error, whatever bad happens in the API. Okay, so when you make the post API call, you need to write that code if else block. Okay, so here I will write res dot result property check. I will add if it is success. If we got true, we will simply show the alert like a user sign up success. And once we sign up is success, we get the, let me check if we get the object also or not. Not sure that we get or not. So let's see. There might be already customer with this mobile number. Mobile number is unique. Let me just execute. So you can see we have got the error, result property is false, and we have got the error in the message field like mobile number is already present because I have in my API side, I have added the validation like mobile number should be unique. So let's just add something. Let's try it now. Yeah, so customer added success, but in data, we are not getting the actual data. So after registration, again, we need to do the login thing. Okay. So this was the check I was informing. If we get the result true, then we only say can that API call was success. And else, we will show the error message, whatever we get from the API call only. So res dot message property, we will use it. Let's just check it quickly. Everything is done. Okay, one more thing, like on the this particular button click, we need to open the model pop-up, right? So we can pass this model ID over here. Let's save and check it now. So if we click on register, we get the model pop-up. Let's pass the data also. Let's say Rahul. Label I didn't change, but let it be. I'm passing mobile number 00990088. All those who are using my API, make sure you don't put out your real number as APIs are free. Everyone is using it. So I don't want to get into some term like if someone is calling you. So make sure you enter the dummy mobile number and the email ID too. Okay. And the last one was password. So 112233. Now on click of sign up, we will be making that API call. So see, API call is there and sign up is success. Now, if I try to use the same data again, so now you can see mobile number already present error we have got because just now we have created. So as in the API side, I have added the validation like mobile number should be unique. I just check the database like if mobile number is there or not, then only I will create. Otherwise, I will send a return message. Okay. So we have created a Rahul user. And to log in, we have to use the mobile number. Okay. So let's just get out the mobile number and the password was 112233. Okay. Now we have to create one more pop-up for the login. So let's just copy paste. So just like this, I will need another pop-up. Let's name it as login model. Now we need to create an object for login also. So let's check that. So login, you need to send the username and password. Username means mobile number you need to send. Okay. So let's create this login obj colon any. Again, I'm repeating like you, if you have time, just create interface or class for this. Don't go and create any, but just I'm creating just to save the time. It will be on login. Now in service also, we need to create a function. This will be a little bit fast on login. And here the API name will be login only. So it will be login. Okay. Now here instead of on register, we will use on login and we need to pass the login object. Okay. Login success. And this object we need to bind to our model. So this will be login. This is the login model. Okay. login object. The fields are username and password. So let's copy this. Let's put it over here. And the user password. We don't need this. Instead of sign up, let's make it login. And instead of on register, now we have to call this function on login. So again, I'm not taking the validation part. You already might be following my videos. So there are tons of videos on the template form on the reactive also. You can do that. Okay. So let's check the login now. One more thing is remaining, but just I want to showcase the data if we are getting it or not. Login. Okay. We need to pass this ID also on this button click. Let me just copy this. Put it over here. Login model, our model ID will go over here. Now on that button click, our model pop-up will open. Okay. Now, whatever the detail, this is the username and the password. Let's try the wrong password first. Okay. On click of login. So you can see wrong mobile number and password we have got. It's because else block will be executed because we have got the result property as false. So it will go to the else block. See the API response. False property we have got, and the message we will get the message. Okay. Now let's enter the correct one now. 333 login. So now you can see login now success message we have got. Let's see the second response. So now if you see, if the login is success, result property will come true. And in the data, you will get the actual data because once you log in, you need the particular data, na? User data, like in case customer ID is there. So this thing, whatever the login object means the user detail we get after the login API, we need to store it. So we can use local storage, session storage, cookies or service also. So there are four mediums based on the project need or the requirement. We use that. Okay. But if you are appearing for the machine test now, you can simply use the local storage or session storage also. That is also enough. You don't need to go for using cookies or the service variable. But if someone asks you like, why did you store that? So you can simply tell them like, yes, instead of local storage, session storage, we can make use of cookies or we can store the data into service also. So just be aware, like we have four medium where we can store the data. Now, so once we get the data over here, we need to store the data into local storage. So local storage set item. We have got the object, but when we store the data into the local storage, we cannot directly store the object or the array. We need to convert it into the string format. Let's just give the key. Ecom user is the key. So JSON dot stringify is the method which we use. Res dot data we need to pass because in data we were actually getting the what do we say, user detail. Okay. So let's just save and check one more time if we are able to store the data. So in application, local storage is there. Let me just clear it. So let's just log in. This is the username and the password. Now on click of login, you can see login success is there. Once we click on OK, you can see in the local storage we have got the data, right? Now, so login and the registration part is done. So now add to cart. So once user is logged in, one more thing, like if user is logged in, we should not be able to see this login and the register, right? So let's write a small code for that. So we know like, how do we know like user is logged in or not? We have to check the local storage. Okay. If in local storage, in this particular key, we have the data means user is logged in. Okay. So let's create a variable logged user data colon any. Okay. Now in constructor or in the page load, you can do the same thing. First, I will read the local storage data. Local data is equal to local storage dot get item. While reading the data from the local storage, we have to make the use of the get item method, and we have to pass the key. Ecom user is the key. We have to pass it over here, and just make a habit. Whenever you are reading data from the local storage, try to add a null check because ultimately it will give you the error. Okay, so every time try to add a null check over here like this. And once we get the data, if it is not null, we have to store the data into this variable. So while storing the data, we have stored the object into string format. While again storing back to the object format, we need to convert it back. So JSON dot parse method we have to use, and for parsing, we need to pass the local data like this. Now in this variable, if we are storing the data into this variable, if user is logged in, so this variable only we can use, or let's use this li only star ng if. Okay, so now see, as I told you, like to use the ng if directive, we need to add the common module. But there is another way uh, from Angular 17 we have got is the @if condition. Okay. So those who know React, this is kind of same conditional rendering we have got in Angular also. So now the condition will be if this variable is not null. Okay, just like that. If it is not null, I will just copy this li, and instead of this login and the sign up, I will just show the, what do we say, logout button, log off button. And here I will showcase the name. Dot, what was that? So we can show name only. We don't have email or something. So we can show the name. Okay. So this if statement is responsible. Li is getting completed. Wait. Something is wrong. Let me check what I did wrong. Why is button over here? Okay. And this should be. Let's copy this anchor tag. Let's paste it over here. What is remaining? Anchor tag. Okay. Let me just format so that it will be properly readable format. Okay. So see, this @if condition is to check like if this particular variable is not null or not undefined. If it is not null or not undefined means we have got the data from the local storage, right? Now else to this. Else to this will be like this particular variable is undefined. So we will show this li over here. So let's check now. This is what we are doing just to show the logged in information. So here you can see we are getting Rahul and the logout. Now on click of logout also, what we need to do, we need to clear the local storage data. So let's create a function log off. Here what we will be doing, we will simply clear the local storage, but make sure we use the remove item. Okay, remove just the specific key, not just remove all. And we need to make this variable again undefined. So this variable undefined, because just clearing the local storage won't be removing this now, because with this variable we are deciding we need to show the logged in info or the login and the register button. And this variable again we have to assign the value on this login function also once we get the data. So res.data we have to assign. So let's just check one more time. So currently in the local storage, we have the user data. So that's why we have got the username and the log off button. Let's click on log off. So you can see why it is not. Okay, anchor tag is there. So page got refreshed. Let me remove this hashtag from over here. So in Angular, if we use the hrefna, page will just reload, and we didn't call the but click function also. The click function that is log off will go over here. Let's just save all and check. Now it should work fine. So currently in the local storage, we have the data, right? So if we click on log off, you can see data got removed, and again we got the login and the register button. Let's try login again. This is the username. This is the password. Now if we click on login, we got the local storage data, and here we are able to see the profile. This is just a basic, like in actual case, we can see profile, orders, and everything. So many things will be there. Okay. So login part and everything is done.